Hi, hello! I'm going to start today's video with a little life lesson, a life hack, if you will. Anytime you see Miss Lisa Eldridge announce something new is coming and she reveals whatever she's going to release and you think, great, fabulous, not really for me. And if you're like really dead set on not for me, then do not make the mistake, the capital mistake of going to watch her reveal video. Because at the end of that video, you're going to be a changed person. Trust me from experience, because this has happened to me already several times. I saw the reveal for the balms a couple of months ago. I thought, not really a product for me. What do you know, I bought one of them. Now with the new Rouge Experience refillable lipsticks, I thought, fabulous idea, I stand by it. I'm very curious about it. I don't need it right now, maybe next year. What do? I watch the video. What happens at the end of the video? I'm running to my laptop to place an order. So, trust me when I tell you, if you don't want to buy a Lisa Eldridge release, don't watch her reveal video, because the woman could sell you your old ribbon lipstick bag for twice the price, okay? Hello. So today we're going to be talking about the new Rouge Experience lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. So those are her refillable lipsticks that come in a component that is meant to be, you know, an ode to vintage makeup that you want to keep forever and ever in your family. You want to pass it on as an heirloom to your posterity, and you want to etch it with your own initials so that the posterity can really cherish this item from grandma. Now, joke aside, I do applaud Lisa Eldridge for releasing a refillable lipstick, because as far as I'm concerned, every luxury brand should be doing refillable components, because part of the experience, part of why we buy luxury makeup is because we really like the packaging. And oftentimes when you finish the product, it almost feels like such a monumental waste to throw away the packaging, because the packaging is a piece of art. So by me, every brand should be doing this, and I think by now most luxury brands do actually offer refillable lipstick options. Prada offers them, Dior offers them, Hermes offers them. Chanel, I don't think so. I think they're the only brand that I currently have in my collection that do not have refillable packaging, but all of these other brands that I mentioned do, and I think this is the way to go. A novel aspect that Lisa Eldridge has introduced into her Rouge refillable lipsticks, of course, is the fact that I don't think the outside component is completely recyclable, but that's also not the point, because you're going to, you know, pass it on to the posterity. But the actual refill component is made of aluminum or aluminium. I don't really know which one is right in which country. I'm personally used to calling it aluminium, so I'm going to call it aluminium. So you're supposed to be able to completely recycle the actual refill once you have panned the lipstick, which is a fabulous idea, because I think most of the refillable components that other brands are offering are definitely not recyclable. So while they're selling you the refillable mentality, they're not really selling you the recycling part of it. So it doesn't really match up. So I really like what she's doing, and I really like that she has done it in such a way that, you know, it completely satisfies her, you know, criteria for what this refillable lipstick should look like. Obviously it is Lisa Eldridge, so everything about the outside component, and I'm sure you've already seen it, but let me show it to you again. Everything about the outside component is of course inspired by her makeup collection, by vintage makeup, and this very much screams Lisa Eldridge and vintage makeup. It is beautiful. Now, my first reaction when I saw the outside component was, I don't know, something about it seems very bulky. And I have to say, once you get used to the idea that it just looks a little bit different, it is actually really beautiful to look at. But before we get into talking about the lipstick component, I just wanted to, you know, finish talking about the actual concept, because like I said, I dig the concept and I would have participated in this either way, but I really felt compelled to participate after I watched Lisa's video, because she's always so full of enthusiasm and love for everything that she makes. And I was actually quite intrigued by the specific colors that were included in this release, because my fear was a little bit that we're going to get essentially lipsticks that are existing shades in her line, but then in this new formula, and I really wasn't interested in that. But as soon as she started talking about, you know, incorporating more cool tones, adding a few more of those like everyday neutral nude kind of shades into the range of these lipsticks, I was a bit more intrigued. And another really important point that I wanted to mention is that, to me, actually possibly the most important part of Lisa's reveal video was the last few minutes of it, when she talks about how to actually recycle these components, because it's all grand, you know, we want to recycle the component, but apparently it's not as straightforward. It's not like you toss it in the trash and it immediately finds its way to the recycling bin. So I would highly recommend to watch the video, especially the last few minutes where she talks about how you can help the proper recycling of these refills. If not, go read on her website, because she actually has a section on that. And what I would also recommend is to look in the country where you're actually located, or even the town where you actually live, how is, you know, aluminum dealt with if you ever want to recycle these. Obviously you have to reach the point where you're going to even finish the lipstick in order to recycle it, but I do think that if you're buying into the idea of the refillable lipstick because you like that it's going to be recycled, which is what I am doing this for, I really like the idea that it's going to be recycled. I want to contribute, even if it's mini, you know, towards the well-being of this planet. I'm going to actually look up very much in detail what is the best way that I can make sure that these components are recycled once the moment comes. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the shipping is dealt with a little bit differently for this release, because if you want your component to be etched, so if you want it to be customized with your initials, or, you know, whomever initials, if you're going to make this as a present for someone, then your order is going to ship from the UK. So it's going to take longer for it to be shipped, because it needs to be, you know, prepared, the component needs to be etched. After that, it needs to, you know, still be shipped to you. After that, it needs to go to customs, through customs clearance in your local country. And for me, I actually got a local customs notification that I have to pay a little bit extra. And at that point, you might be charged a bit for importing the package into your country of residence. I looked up on Lisa Eldridge's website, and they're very kind. They immediately offer refunds if you are in any way, you know, asked for additional fees, which I did get a refund for the 6 additional euros that were charged upon customs clearance. They refunded it basically immediately. Lisa's customer service is absolutely incredible. Also, in the beginning with my order, I wanted to customize my lipstick, but somehow in the frenzy I didn't check properly whether I actually added the customization to my cart. So I ended up placing my order, and then it turned out that I didn't have the customization. So I emailed them. They said it's not possible to change the order. However, they were able to cancel my order so that I can place it again. Lisa's customer service truly is the best. They respond immediately. They're very kind. They're very respectful. I can only highly recommend dealing with her business, because they're always just very respectful to their customers. And now, with all of these introductory words out of the way, we can talk about the 2 colors that I purchased, which, as you've already seen in the title, are the shades Lisa and Ashes of Roses. Of course, Ribbon is one that I'm very tempted by, because Ribbon is my favorite lipstick from Lisa Eldridge, but I always feel like the Velvet Ribbon is so beautiful and so perfect that I don't know that it can get any better than that. So for the time being, I don't think I'm going to be purchasing Ribbon in this formula, unless at some point I really want to have it in this formula. But for now, I feel like Ribbon in the Velvet formula is already perfection, and you cannot really build on perfection. And I decided to purchase these like more neutrally type shades, and I think it's very smart of her to maybe come out with these more neutrally type shades in this specific refillable, you know, component, because a bright red most people will never go through, so the whole recycling idea would be completely obsolete then. So you have to make colors in this formula which are more wearable, so colors that most people are going to wear on the daily, so they're going to finish them faster, and they're going to recycle the components. Also, this is an entirely new formula in the range of Lisa Eldridge, and I am going to talk about the formula because now that I've worn a lipstick for half a day, I have a pretty good idea how it feels and how it performs and what I can liken it to. But the formula is essentially Lisa Eldridge's first true cream lipstick. Not one that is, you know, a buildable lip balm, or not something like the lucents or the balms, which are in a category more of like tinted balms. Definitely not in the category of the insanely saturated and the velvet matte. I would say more, you know, within the group of cream lipsticks, she has introduced her own formula into the market. There's a lot of detail into the outside component of this lipstick, and it is also really, really heavy. This is considerably heavier to her other, you know, gold component, which houses the lucents and the velvets. It is really hefty in the hand. It is not magnetic. Her other lipsticks have a magnetic closure. This one you have to click in. It spells out Lisa Eldridge here on the side. You've got the logo on this side, and like I said, I etched mine with my initials. Lisa is the lipstick that you're currently seeing me wear. You're going to see me swatch both of these on my lips in footage where I don't have any eye makeup on, so it will not distract from the color. But the way I would describe the shade Lisa, which is the one that I currently have here in the little lipstick holder, I would describe this as the most beautiful, like neutral rosy shade. It's really, really stunning, and it immediately reminded me of the Balm in the shade Epanouie. So that's actually one of the first comparisons that I wanted to make. The point of this video is really not so much the actual like lipstick swatches, as much as the comparison swatches to other formulas and colors in her collection, and also to really experience the formula of this. So I brought up the Balms because, in my opinion, the formula on these new lipsticks is essentially the less shiny, more pigmented version of the Balms. They have that same like presence on the lips, that same like nourishing quality to them, but this formula definitely doesn't have as much shine, and it's much more pigmented than the Balms, and it also stays put for a lot longer than the Balms. For me, if I have the Balm and I'm not even consuming anything, it is gone within an hour, whereas with this lipstick, I wore it to work. We had a coffee break, I had a Cinnabon and a cappuccino, and then for lunch I had soup and a sandwich, and I want to say that only like in the middle portion of my lips a little bit had faded, but the rest was still perfectly there. It really grips onto the lips, and it has this really comfortable, nourishing quality to it. I really think that these are a tweaked version of her Balm Embrace formula. Maybe something important that I forgot to mention: when you purchase the component and then you buy several refills, I think the more refills you buy, the more discount you get on the refills. I bought the lipstick, one refill for myself and one refill for a friend, and I got 20% off of, I want to say, most of it or everything. I have to look back. So I got 20% discount on the refills, not on the actual component, but yes, on the refills. So like I said, I ordered one of the refills, and I wanted to show you how the refills look like, because I feel like you can almost use them as standalone lipsticks if you don't really want to buy the heavy case and you're just interested in the formula and you just want to try the colors and you want to have it in something that is easy to take with you and put it in your pocket, because this is going to be a lot more substantial in your pocket. So I have currently Ashes of Roses here as a refill, and I think the refill is actually done pretty stunningly and really classy. Most refills I don't really care for because they're quite simple in their execution. This one feels like they've put a lot of thought into even making the refill look as pretty as almost as a standalone lipstick. Like, here is the completely recyclable, made of aluminum component. Again, it has that like little ring around it, the component of the lipstick, and even the little cap has the Lisa Eldridge logo. I have never seen such a elegant refill for a lipstick before. It closes very tightly, so you shouldn't be worried about it falling off or your lipstick drying out because it doesn't make good contact. It's really easy to switch around in your lipstick. You just click it out, you click back in, there's no shaking, there's no, you know, with some refills, like my Prada refills, they really like dangled in the component. Like in the beginning I was almost afraid that the thing is going to fall out of my lipstick case. That wasn't the case, but it really like moves around a lot in the component, whereas this one stays put in place. So let me show you Ashes of Roses. Ashes of Roses was actually the one that was housed in the component when I received my order, because it was the one that I ordered in its entirety. And as you can see in the lipstick swatch, it is a beautiful, beautiful neutral shade. It's a shade that I would describe as a it leans more towards the brown, but there's, you know, a hint of pink and a hint of brown and a hint of earthiness, but also a little bit of coolness to the color. It's a very, very interesting color. I think it's going to become one of my favorite neutral lipsticks to wear, I can assure you of that. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple of relevant comparison swatches, because if you are anything like me and you have a very extensive Lisa Eldridge collection, probably one of the first things that you were concerned about is, am I going to dupe myself color-wise? Let's first go go through the lipsticks that I have here that are in the pinkish range that I have from Lisa Eldridge, like the more neutral pink range from Lisa Eldridge, so that we can compare to the shade Lisa. So here we have Lisa. And now the first thing that I want to do immediately is I want to swatch this next to Epanouie. Epanouie is one of her Balm Embrace formulas. I feel like you can even see from the bullet that it looks like a very similar, like tonally very similar shade, and I'm almost willing to bet that this shade is, you know, the cream lipstick cousin of Epanouie the Balm. You can see how much less pigmented the balm is and how much shinier in its texture, but to me, if you put more pigment into this formula and make it less shiny, you've got the exact same color. So if you really liked Epanouie, but like me, you are not really the type of person who really wears these sort of balms other than as lip care. Like, I don't really wear this out and about. I don't have time to reapply my lipstick every hour. I don't have the type of job where I can even think about reapplying my lipstick every hour. So this lives on my vanity as lip care. Or if I'm traveling, I use it as lip care, or in any other circumstance when not a lipstick but lip care is required. So if you are like me, you're like, oh, I wish like she had a version of this which actually has a bit more pigment to it, then this new formula is the answer to your prayers. I really think, especially Epanouie, basically the same thing in a different formula. And also in terms of the formula, like I said, to me these two are the most like each other. If you know how the balms feel on the lips, this is exactly how this new lipstick feels on the lips. I have here the shade Rose Official from her Lucent line, which I feel like is going to be a somewhat similar pink. I really like Rose Official, but I think Rose Official has a little bit more purple to it, whereas this is just a little bit warmer. There's a bit more earthiness in here, there's a little bit more purple in Rose Official, as you can maybe see. You can also see how much shinier the Lucent formula is compared to the new formula, and how much shinier the Balm formula is compared to the Lucent formula. I don't really have all that many like pinks in her Velvet formula, so I'm not going to be the best person to compare the pinks. The only like pink that I have in my collection from her is the shade Velvet Rain. So I'm going to swatch Velvet Rain actually right here so that we can see the difference. Wow, they're actually very different shades. And those are pretty much all of my pink lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. We've got Velvet Rain, Lisa, Epanouie, and Rose Official. Okay, I've taken out a bunch of my browns. I'm sure a lot of them are not at all going to be similar to Ashes of Roses, but you know what? The best way to find out is to compare. So, look at that, rain doesn't want to come off. Let's see how we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to swatch Ashes of Roses right here. So this is Ashes of Roses. Now let's go through my brown lipstick collection, and let's start maybe with my lucents. So the two browns in the Lucent formula that I want to compare are Meet Me in Berlin and Painterly. I think Meet Me in Berlin is clearly much more grungy and much more cool toned in its undertones, although like I said, there is a bit of a coolness going on to the shade Ashes of Roses as well. But as you can see, this is much more brown and much more like a grungy 90s brown. So Meet Me in Berlin is not similar at all. I think Painterly might be actually the most similar out of the two. I am going to put Painterly right here next to Ashes of Roses. Okay, it seems like Painterly has a little bit more of like cherry tones to it compared to Ashes of Roses. Just to recap, we've got Ashes of Roses, Painterly in the Lucent formula, Meet Me in Berlin in the Lucent formula. Now I'm going to remove the two Lucents and we're going to swatch a couple of the Velvets. Let's start with Affair. I'm very curious how this is going to compare. I'm going to put Affair right here. So when you compare Ashes of Roses to Affair, Affair is actually much more like yellow and caramel in tone. So this is more of a caramel brown, whereas once you put this next to something that is a bit more caramel in tone, you immediately reveal the rosiness that is present in Ashes of Roses. Here we've got Velvet Sorcery, and I don't know that Velvet Sorcery is going to be super similar, but hey, let's swatch them together. So here we have Velvet Sorcery. Oh, interesting. There is maybe a little bit more like mauve and purple in here. Then we've got one that I don't think will be similar at all. This is the shade Velvet Muse. And Velvet Muse is more like a rosy nude, but I thought it might be interesting to compare. You can see this has a bit more of like a cooler rosy undertone to it, whereas this has more brown. And finally, one that I don't think is going to be similar at all, but why not swatch it, is the shade Velvet Decade, which is unfortunately also now a discontinued shade. Velvet Decade is much deeper and vampier in tone. It is much cooler, like almost like a taupe brown compared to something like Ashes of Roses. But you know, it is interesting to compare the undertones. I think when you compare especially to Affair and to Muse, you can see how different the undertones that are in Ashes of Roses are. I think especially when you compare to Affair, you can see the rosiness in Ashes of Roses, and when you compare to Muse, you can see how much warmer and like grounded the rosy shade in Ashes of Roses is. So just to recap, we have Velvet Affair, Ashes of Roses, Velvet Sorcery, Velvet Muse, and Velvet Decade. If you would like me to do comparisons with some other shades, please let me know. You know, I have a fairly extensive Lisa collection, but as I said, I do not have that many of her rosy shades because pink isn't really my forte when it comes to wearing lipstick. So it's a color that I usually tend to be quite picky about, but I do have a lot of brownie lipsticks. I have a lot of brownie lipsticks from other brands. So if you know ones that I have that you would like me to compare to, let me know. Personally, I'm super happy with my purchase. It was a very exorbitant purchase, but I think the component is truly a piece of art, and I will enjoy looking at it in my vanity. I love the formula. I think the formula is super comfortable on the lips, and if you especially are in the group of people who find her mattes, like her velvet mattes, to be quite drying, I personally don't find her velvet mattes to be extremely drying. Her velvet mattes to me are a true pleasure to wear. They very rarely dry out my lips and they work really well with the lucents. So I never really struggle with her mattes, but I know some of you do. In addition to that, I think some of these new shades have more cooler tones woven into them. So shades like Simone and Medici, for example, are described to have somewhat cooler undertones. So I think for all of you who always struggle with Lisa's lipsticks just turning too warm, maybe these new ones will be suitable for you. I hope that this video was useful to you. Did you buy any of these lipsticks? Which colors did you buy? From the two colors that I bought, did you buy any of them? Which one did you like better on me actually, or did you like them equally? I like them equally, but I'm curious what you guys have to say about it. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!